Thank you, Chair Kudo. Welcome, everyone. Happy New Year, if you haven't heard that before. It's fabulous to be back at Windward. I love looking at the mountains here. I wish I could give you credit, artists, but but it was special to enjoy covered parking and even more the PV panels that represents. So thank you. And I did steal away some time myself this morning. If any of you have time, you can stop by the Mauna Kea Library Learning Commons, and there's an amazing exhibit called A Source of Light, Constant and Never Fading. And it's a historical exhibit about the strong relationship between Hawaiian royalty and the patients of Kalaupapa. Pretty moving. Let me shift and just give you a quick update on numbers. We'll report more formally. Yesterday, our headcount enrollment was up slightly relative to last spring. Today, our headcount enrollment is down slightly relative to last spring. So it literally shifts from day to day. But since we're here at Windward, I will say that as of today, Windward is up compared to last spring, as is West Oahu. The census data is what we really look at, which is in 4 weeks. Also, our extramural funding, as of close of business yesterday, we're just under 266 million, which is really good if we could hold that for the entire year, but that's not our typical pace. But we are up a couple of million from last year, and last year was really a remarkable performance. So that's holding strong. Let me share just one story of something cool going on within UH. I know we have football in the news a lot, and I won't say much about the head coach position, although if anyone here wants to apply, time is short. We will be moving quickly. But the Hula Bowl is coming back this year for the first time in many years, and we're organizing an esports event along with the organizers of the Hula Bowl. And so on the January 24th, we will have NFL football players playing against our students in Madden NFL, one of the popular games. And our folks usually are playing what's called League of Legends and Overwatch. Those are two of the really popular esports games. We'll be running a internet broadcasting stream using the Twitch technology, probably the most popular online broadcasting system you have never heard of, but hundreds of millions of viewers have. And we're trying to get some of the Hula Bowl players over to campus as well, but we'll be interviewing about our esports students about our esports program. I have to admit I was a skeptic about this, and I am being won over by seeing the passion of our students. UH Mānoa is competitive formally now. We have teams in formation at UH West Oahu and UH Maui College. Fabulous facilities coming up at all of those campuses as well as Manoa. This is now remarkably a billion-dollar industry to enjoy students playing electronic, or not students, esports athletes playing electronic games, and it is growing extraordinarily quickly. And it's not just the people playing who make money, it's coaches, mentors, broadcasters, marketers, game designers and creators, and the technologies underneath all that. This thing has really lit a spark, and I'm very grateful to all the folks at the University of Hawaii who have really been making this happen on multiple campuses. I'm just going to read you a couple sentences from Sky Kauvaloa. He's a grad student at UH Mānoa doing a dissertation on esports, and he's been leading many of our efforts. UH esports students have said this has given them a vision of their future. Repeatedly, I've been told by students that I don't want to leave Hawaii if we can make this happen. Our international students have told him that they have never been physically on campus after class for as long as they have, now that they're part of UH esports. The students just don't want to go home, and the iLab, where we run our programs, has been a new space for them. Finally, I've been impressed by the level of interest we have received of girls wanting to be part of this venture. We have girls on our Overwatch team, we have girls on our League of Legends team, one of whom is the head coach. So it's really a bright spot for us, and I'm happy to share it with you. If anybody wants to check it out, let me know, and we'll get you special seating at the esports arena. A couple things the regents have asked me to keep on top of and report on. So I'm going to say a little bit about the Mānoa reorganizations, and then a little bit about just an informal update on our Mauna Kea activities relating to the resolution that you passed and just approved the minutes of that meeting last November. So the Mānoa reorganization is going on in parts. The largest and most active part right now is a reorganization of the campus administration. You approved that in concept, but that left a lot of work to do. I previously reported we had mini design teams for each of the functional areas like educational excellence and student success. Those mini design teams have done their work. We shared that with campus leadership, and when I say that I mean including all of the campus governance groups toward the end of last year. We still have the master design team that's reviewed all of the input. There were some conflicts to reconcile, some changes to be made based on the input. We are now finalizing new functional statements and high-level organization charts, and those will go out to town hall style, open, transparent review in February, so just starting next month. That input will be used to develop the final, what we hope will be a final proposal in March. We want to get the formal input from all of the governance groups in April, and we hope to implement July 1. I did say that last year about last July 1, so take that with a grain of salt. We want to do it fast, but we more importantly want to do it right, and we want to honor the input that we receive. So that's comfortably underway. Slightly ahead of schedule is one of our college reorganizations. That is the merger of language, linguistics, and literature, arts and humanities, and the School of Pacific Asian Studies. That one has been underway for a little bit longer. Our goal is to create a new college that brings together arts, humanities, and languages with our remarkable strength in Asia-Pacific studies at the core of all of that. We think this can really differentiate the University of Hawaii at Manoa, and in so doing create an even more dynamic and cohesive liberal arts community that advances innovative academic programs and interdisciplinary scholarship in a manner that frankly can help those units grow enrollments which have been struggling. We hope to have a full proposal on that one to the campus governance groups for formal input in March. So again, slightly ahead of the big reorg. And I will say, for those of you who may be skeptical about the liberal arts, none of you have questioned it to me. There was a recent study that indicated that a liberal arts education is worth almost $1 million in lifetime earnings for those who partake of one. So in spite of the fact and the stories about bachelor's degree holders as baristas, the earnings occur over time, and that's what the studies say, not so much the first job out of college, but over time the value of that liberal arts education shows up in the careers those students are able to achieve. Lastly, let me mention the Tim Scheidler merger. That one I reported to you was completed last semester. Recruitment is now underway for a director of the Tim School. We still have a Tim School, and that person will also be an associate dean of the Scheidler College of Business. And I wanted to highlight that because on this agenda, you will see some of the philanthropic fruit of that merger. This will, without a doubt, be the most productive philanthropic year for Tim in many, and largely driven by Dean Rowley and his efforts to raise money for travel industry management. Let me shift now to Mauna Kea, and I'll just highlight a few areas where you asked for, well, frankly, faster progress than you were seeing. The first I'll mention is decommissioning. In your resolution, you asked for detailed progress reports on the current 2 decommissionings underway. I will tell you that I have reviewed preliminary Gantt charts for Hoku-Kea and CSO. So that work is underway. We're on track to show those to you in February as requested in the reso. We are also looking at how we will identify the additional decommissionings that are required. One of our challenges here and opportunities is to ensure that the identification of telescopes to be decommissioned weighs in a balanced manner the impacts to science, to cultural sites, and to natural resources. And we will need to get that input from different sources. We're looking at a blue ribbon science committee. We will be consulting with Kahuku Mauna and others on cultural impacts, and we need to keep the Mauna Kea Management Board in the loop and at the core of the recommendations that move forward on that. You also asked for some progress at Halepohaku on integration of education, culture, and astronomy. We have initial planned improvements at the visitor information station. Those have been led by Imiloa. We have a new interactive display, for example, telling the story of ads making at Mauna Kea. This had been delayed. Obviously, the road was closed for months, so that was pretty different. Mauna Kea Management Board and Kahuku Mauna have expressed an interest in reviewing plans. This is a new and very welcome development. And Imiloa, as we have been initiated, is working with the Office of Mauna Kea Management on developing improvements to the training program to ensure that visitors, employees, contractors, vendors are all appropriately educated about the special place that is Mauna Kea. We also have a new 3D exhibit for the Viz that Imiloa conceived, and that's being developed with Jason Lee, our very own of the Lava Lab at UH Mānoa, with the latest forms of 3D visualization technology. In terms of the educational telescope, I think all of you know, we discussed at length at our last meeting some of the challenges. We are looking at three aspects of that project. One is what kind of permit would be required for the location. We still prefer Halepohaku as the best site for an educational telescope. It will require a permit of some kind, and we're working through those issues. We have issues with funding and the notice of intent to decommission, and working with the Mauna Kea Management Board on those issues. And then we have the question to clarify whether or not a telescope, an educational telescope at Halepohaku, counts as one of the limited number of telescopes that we've agreed to have after decommissioning on Mauna Kea. So that work is underway, and we'll be reporting to you as we make progress. Second to last, let me comment on management. There were two pieces to this. One was the internal reorganization. You've asked for a report at your April meeting. I will say we are on track with that. We do have some initial ideas, and this is really the approach to integration of the many parts of the University of Hawaii that have their fingers in some part of management and stewardship on Mauna Kea, most notably the Office of Mauna Kea Management and MKSS, the Mauna Kea Support Services. You also asked us to look at the overall management structure, that is at the macro level, including to do an analysis. We have quite a bit of work underway. OGC is leading some of that, and we're starting by looking at some of the existing models within state government. So those would include things like the Kaho'olawe Island Reserve Commission, Haiana State Park, Papahanaumokuakea. There are a couple of others, and we want to review how those are working. We also will probably talk to some of the ali'i trusts who have experience in managing complicated land and see what we might put together that would be appropriate for Mauna Kea. At this point, our working assumption is that it will be something embedded or associated with the University of Hawaii, but we will see how that develops over time. And we do need to make sure that we continue to engage Hawaii Island people and ensure that this is not, Mauna Kea is not taken away from the island. Lastly, let me mention implementation of the rules. You will have all seen the welcome news that the governor signed the rules. They take effect 10 days after that signature. We have 3 pieces of activity in place there. One of them is in the rules, all authority is delegated to the president. That was an intentional decision to allow, as is usual within the university, further delegation to any appropriate part of the university. We have a draft executive policy to do that delegation. Again, our intent is to have management take place on Hawaii Island. A second aspect of this is the actual implementation and using the rules to make a difference. 2 keys are really reducing the casual, public, non-practitioner, like single occupancy vehicle traffic. We have work underway to look at that. But for example, a draft citation form has been developed by the rangers, modeled after some other ideas, some other forms used by other state agencies. And that may become a primary tool for enforcement. We are also looking at the question of commercial permits. As I think you know, we have carried forward the permits that were issued by DLNR, and it is only with the adoption of the rules that we are able to award new commercial permits and change the pricing structure for those. So we're looking at how to do that. A key part of it is a study that is being done to identify a sustainable number of commercial tour operator permits. And that's something that's required by the rules so that we know how many to issue. So that's a summary. Again, I don't want to, I just wanted to make sure you know the work is underway. We will adhere to the dates called for updating you more formally on the agenda in both February and April as called for within the resolution. Before we turn it over to the campus, let me also announce, and I think I saw Christian Fern come in. Christian is the new executive director of UPA, our faculty union. I'm happy to report he is an alum of both Punahou and UH Mānoa. He succeeds Chris Hanselman, who I think most of you knew, who succeeded J.N. Musto. I can't believe I blanked on his name. How fast we forget. And so I think in adherence with Sunshine, but maybe a small break in protocol, I'm just going to give Christian a chance to share his greetings with you. This is not an agenda, a substantive agenda discussion.
Thank you, President Lassner. Hello, Regents. I just wanted to take the opportunity to introduce myself. Christian Fern, as President Lassner mentioned, I spent the formative years of my life in Manoa Valley, both at Punahou and then as a graduate of the University of Hawaii. As a representative of the UH faculty as well as an alum, I do take attacks on the university very personally, and I will defend it to whatever degree I need. I just want you to know that because I do take my job very seriously, and I know that we may not always see eye to eye, but my approach in dealing with things is very much more collaborative. I believe the university administration and UPA have far more things in alignment in our success. And I think UPA is one of the few agencies or organizations in this state that actually has a statewide interest because we do represent faculty at every single campus. I look forward to working with all of you. I think in every administrative meeting that I've had since I took over December 1st of 2019, I've shared that I want to hear from the administration. I'd rather hear from the administration or you folks if there are issues, rather than getting an angry call from a faculty member that the administration is trying to implement something. So I do encourage you to contact me through the proper channels. I look forward to working with all of you moving forward and to the success of the university. So mahalo for this time. Thank you, Dr. Lassner.
Thank you, Christian. And with that, let me turn it over to Chancellor Ardis Eschenberg.